let's move into the topic of leadership, as we were talking a lot about the children in between. And so what's the point of having emotional intelligence when we are a leader?
Great. Again, according to Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence, they made research, a lot of research about leadership in connection with emotional intelligence, and they found out that leaders with higher emotional intelligence have greater sensitivity and empathy and
Yeah.
are more expressive. They are rated more effective leaders by direct reports and managers. They receive greater merit increases and receive higher performance ratings. I think the leaders with higher emotional intelligence know how to communicate better, which is essential in not only taking credit for themselves, but to their teams, which the team members will definitely feel appreciated, honored, and important.
Yeah.
Uh, and then in that kind of environment, people would resonate with more, come out with more ideas, innovation, and positivity.
Yeah.
And um, and the leaders with emotional intelligence are likely to have less control over people they are working with. They are not one man show, which is,
Right.
they are more respectful and thoughtful.
Yeah.
Um, and I think everyone would like to work with a leader like that.
Yeah.
I, don't we? I mean, when we think of most effective people in our lives that we took as a role model, it could be maybe starting with a parent, then a teacher or a leader. Uh, we will accumulate if we really focus on the common points, they will definitely be emotional intelligence competencies.
Yeah.
I this is my life.
There is evidence. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is evidence of this for sure. And now a lot of the article on this, what's the most important skill for leaders, like listening, for example, right?
Yeah.
Asking question and being interpersonal, being approachable, being vulnerable. Actually, we know also, I'm not sure which paper exactly, but I've read that also from students. They respond to teachers who are more vulnerable, who say they don't know, who say, I'm going to find out, who don't say trying to cover up for something they don't know or trying to run that one-man show that you talked about. It's when you have that level of, I am at the same level with you, we are partner in this, that we feel the trust. And there's a speed to trust, but when trust is lost, it's also really long to get it back. So also when you mentioned something, I want to make a connection to, you said communication. I have this beautiful quote from Caleb Gattegno, who was a philosopher, mathematician, and he developed a lot of material on literacy and language learning, and he knew so many languages, and he was a friend of Cuisenaire. He was at the time of Piaget, so he was kind of a constructivist, but he had some stuff that he wasn't so sure about, kind of some disagreement with Piaget. Anyway, he's a very important figure for me of inspiration about pedagogy. Not a very famous person, but kind of my inspiration, my champion that you talked about. And he says communication is a miracle. And I think it's really good here because sometimes, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, to think that what I'm trying to communicate is what is being received. And this is where we know that conflicts are kind of always when the expectation of the two people are mismatched, or there is something that actually I want to say this, but you are not receiving it the way that I'm saying it to you. And therefore, all I'm doing actually is expressing myself. I'm expressing myself and you're expressing yourself. So communication is a miracle because it's really rare when we exactly have the same mental image of something we're going to try to convey. And that's why I think we constantly refine our way to speak with one another, because it's hard to get to that meeting point of, okay, I get it. And then there shouldn't be fear at that point.
I mean, you
Like,
mentioned listening as well, I think, and communication, and I agree. And I think in emotional intelligence, also, what I have learned, how to listen properly. We, in order to maintain our relationships into a better and also raise our social awareness, we really
mm,
practice listening. Most of the time, I realize that we are listening to speak. We are listening so that when it is our turn, we can talk.
yeah,
Um, Instead, with mindfulness, if we focus and listen
mm,
carefully what the other people may have to say, the relationships definitely manifest into a better place.
right.
So it
Yeah.
is one of the skills that we can work on.
Resisting the urge of this noise you mentioned, like that can be, oh, I want to talk about me, ego, I can't, autobiographical, or I want to respond, I want to say something more, or oh, I want to know more, I'm so curious, but curious in an inquisitive way that's just being interfering in someone's
Mhm,
life. So it's really hard actually listening to the person from the heart. And because also we have this fatigue sometimes of, and right now I think teachers are having this a lot, is that compassion fatigue also,
mhm,
is to
mhm,
preserve ourselves as well and be able to also resource and refresh and recharge that source of compassion and empathy.
mhm.
That's why also we need to sometimes declutter around us and see like who are the people that really matter, that I want to spend time with,
Yeah.
that are taking and giving. Where there's a
Mhm.
not just taking all of the energy. That's another topic, but yeah.